Welcome to Digitopia's webinar about our digital maturity research, our findings from about 600 plus assessments from 2024. For those who don't know us, we do digital maturity assessments since 2018. We're probably one of the market leaders in this space. And today, during this webinar, there will be two parts. In the first part, I will present our findings, which is compiled in a report which all attendees will receive after this webinar. At the side of this webinar, we will run a poll, and please share your comments and your opinion in the poll, and we will reveal the results at the end of my part, which will be only 15 minutes. And then we have one of my colleagues and one of our customers to have a discussion about how digital maturity assessments help you to assure and succeed with your digital transformation. But without further ado, I would like to jump into my presentation and give you the summary of our findings of last year's digital maturity assessments. We are quite excited about this because this time we have a record number of assessments in our maturity benchmark database, 621 measurements in more than 20 countries, in more than 10 industries. We've collected more than 107,000 data points, and during these workshops and assessments, we've met with more than 24,500 people. And this is probably within the top 5 benchmark databases and maturity data globally, since probably only a few global consulting companies may be able to claim they have more data than we have. Since 2018, we're not doing anything else than helping our customers with succeeding with their digital transformations. And as I said, in this presentation, on the next slide, you will see the results of the last 5 years. And the important news and the striking news is, as you can see, that the progress has slowed down dramatically, I would say. During the years of COVID, digital maturity have climbed up quite quickly from 269 to 278 to 289, but then it slowed down to 295, and this year, actually last year's total average globally of all industries is 299. So it's just 0.04 maturity points improvements. And we identified a few reasons why that happened. First of all, it's of course global uncertainty, economical crisis, political crisis, and some other reasons. We could call it VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, which makes it more difficult for executives and companies to invest in a confident way, to spend money, to focus on digital, because at the moment, everything is moving, everything is shaking, and everything is quite uncertain. And many executives we are talking to are very struggling a lot with focusing on what they really need to do. And this makes maturity assessments even more important, because we help you to focus on the most important things. Another important reason is that companies became tired of that much of transformation and that much of change during the last 3-4 years. And as individuals get tired, and we see this in CEO resignations and CIO resignations and burnout syndromes and so forth, also organizations get tired. And in some cases, for those who think they have achieved digital transformation, there is also a notion of inertia, slowing down, cutting on investments, and basically relying on past investments and past achievements. So I'm very curious what will happen this year. We are quite excited about AI, of course, and see that companies are very interested in investing in AI. And as many of you might know, we also have an AI maturity index, which helps to understand where you are and what you need to do to improve yourself, which is a subcategory of digital transformation, I would say. But because of the hype about all those crazy investments into AI from a publicity and importance and from a visibility perspective probably has overtaken digital transformation. But in order to achieve AI capabilities, you definitely still need digital transformation capabilities. So the numbers have almost doubled every year. And in total, since 2018, we now have more than 1,500 measurements in our database. As you see, the graph is moving very slowly to the right. And the top performing companies, you will see that on the next page in the banking industry, especially, we've barely moved ahead of the 4.0 mark, and we're still far away from the 5.0 fully digital maturity level. But most probably very interesting for you guys looking at different industries. We've now benchmark data for 10 industries. We've done measurements in more than 15 different industries. We consider it a benchmark when we have more than 20 measurements in a certain industry. And these industries you see here on the screen, we have in each of them several dozens, in some cases close to 100. Manufacturing and retail are the areas where we have probably the most measurements. But you see that the banking is leading the industries. The average was 299, to remind you. Insurance is right at the average. Retail is behind. Pharma is behind. Service is behind. And from what this data shows, which is probably the most important on this slide, is in certain industries, in all industries, but in certain industries, the laggards falling far behind, and the gap between the leader and the laggard is widening, as you see in the retail space, in consumer goods, in manufacturing, in automotive. And if you look at how fast the company can progress on the maturity scale, which is only 0.05 or 0.1 maturity points, that means there's almost 20 years of gap of digitalization and digital transformation between the laggard and the leader. Same in the manufacturing space, same in the consumer goods. It will become very difficult to survive. And there's another phenomenon happening here, that for the laggards, it turns into a vicious cycle, and they lose talent, they lose budgets, they lose confidence, and really struggle with digital transformation. And the leaders, in the contrary, for them, it becomes a virtuous cycle, and they get more budget, they have more access to the ecosystem, to startups, they get executive sponsorship, there's a lot of appetite for transformation in the organization. And that's exactly why we are stressing so much the importance of measuring and knowing where you are. And you don't want to be on that losing streak, you want to be on the winning streak, and you must ensure that you are progressing in the right direction. And therefore, it's very important to understand especially and exactly where you are. And related to this situation, the next question then basically is, what makes the difference between the losers and the winners, the laggards and the leaders? And the data revealed following very interesting situation. These 5 topics were among the most highest mature topics we've measured for the leaders, and the same 5 topics were among the lowest performing topics for the laggards. So leadership and strategy and data and integration and analytics are the differentiators between the winners and the losers. You need strong leadership, you need a sound strategy, you need to mature the data infrastructure, you have to have integration between applications and processes, and that data needs to turn into analytics, which helps you with decision making and provides you insights and so forth. And that basically all those 5 are also prerequisites for successful AI adoption. And in the case where these are not very strong, those companies really systematically fall behind. When we look at the 6 dimensions of the Digital Maturity Index, which you can find all the details on our website, it's still interesting. And this is ever since we started in 2018, the technology dimension scores the highest. Still, many organizations consider digital transformation a technology thing. Investing in technology helps. The IT guys are happy about this. Probably IT is very mature in many cases, more mature than many other areas of the business. But the sad news here on this page is the innovation. Of course, ever since we started, innovation was always the lowest performing across the industries, across geographies. But for me personally, the saddest news on this page is where the customer situation, the customer maturity resides. By the way, they're very close to each other, as you can see. We've just amplified the scale from, not from 1 to 5, but from 2.8 to 3.2. On a scale from 1 to 5, they are much closer to each other, which is good news. So companies are quite balanced. They're slightly out of balance with the innovation. There's too much focus on technology, and understanding the importance of customer centricity needs to improve over the years. This is reflected in what we call the Iron Man analysis. People familiar with our methodology, our customers know very well what we mean by digital velocity, digital endurance, and this chart, which we call the digital vitality or the Iron Man analysis. So here we split the 6 dimension in 2 categories, into 2 axes. Digital velocity consists of the customer, operations, and innovation dimensions, and digital endurance consists of the governance, people, and technology. And still, you see that it's quite in the middle. There's the data tells that there's more on the endurance side, and this overall average is still slightly stronger on the endurance side than on the velocity side. And we believe that digital transformation should make you more nimble, should make you more agile, and should make you also more customer centric. More details about this analysis you find in our report. And if I need to summarize all my findings and give you recommendations, I think under the VUCA circumstances, it's truly difficult for executives to take bold decisions, but it's the time of courage. Digital champions, digital transformation leaders need to take the lead. They need to step forward, and they need to take those actions and those decisions. Again, probably one of my favorite words is execution. It's all about execution. That makes the true difference. And you must focus on the most important initiatives and deliver quick wins to satisfy top management expectations, to motivate your teams, to prove value, and to stimulate more appetite. The days of big bang, 18 months, 24 months engagements, I think, are over. Even the biggest projects need to be sliced and diced into smaller chunks, and you need to go step by step about the implementation to ensure that, and in the world of agile, actually, those weekly or 2 weekly sprints, however you apply agile, are delivering more value and more systematic value to prove that you're on the right track. And again, for those who know how we're working, we're doing these digital maturity index measurements every year, every 12 months. We have something what we call pit stops every 3 months. And that ensures that you stay on track and you are in control and you assure your progress and your value delivery, which is very important. And thirdly, last but not least, it's about upskilling. We must invest in the people, especially in the age of AI. They need to embrace technology, especially those new tools and gadgets, and harness the new capabilities. The most famous number I hear basically almost 10 times a day is 30% efficiency gains, from developers to procurement experts, from marketing creatives to legal counsels, Gen AI capabilities at least. And AI is not only about Gen AI, but those tools provide you with at least 30% efficiency if you have the right skills and if you have the right motivation. With that, Ekin, if the poll is ready, great. So yes, we've measured recently 36%. Fantastic. Congratulations. I would like to hear about your stories. 36%, a similar number, is they don't know about their digital maturity score, which is sad. And we can help you with that. And that's the reason why we're running this webinar. And for those who not really know and not really sure if they need it, I would like to have a conversation with them as well, to share our experiences and how our customers have benefited from this. And talking about customers, and I would like to introduce my colleague Zach Beckman and our dear customer Matej Gottwald from Yazaki. And I leave it to these two gentlemen to have a conversation how Yazaki has benefited from their digital maturity assessment. Thank you, Matej. Thank you, Zach.
Yep, absolutely. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm fortunate enough today to have this conversation with Matej, who is an owner of Yazaki Group's global IT projects portfolio. A little bit background information. Yazaki Group is a leading global manufacturer specializing in automotive components with operations in 46 countries and more than 300,000 global employees. Digitopia has had the pleasure of working with Yazaki in multiple engagements, including both their North America and European business units. Matej, is there any additional information about the company that you can share with us?
Thank you, Zach. Yeah, so as you mentioned, Yazaki is a global company with a global footprint. Our primary and core business lies in the electrical distribution systems, which in simple terms means that we are producing primarily wire harnesses in the automotive industry. However, we also have a electronics and components and connection systems division, which focuses on production of connectors as well as, for example, instrument panels. It's interesting that I heard a statistics a couple months ago that every second new car produced in the world actually includes Yazaki component, which is unbelievable. I was not aware of that, so that's a testament of the scope. And however, we also operate in a couple of niche markets. One of them is agriculture, not very well known, and another one are environmental solutions. Some of our key customers include Toyota, Ford, Stellantis, Daimler, or BMW.
Excellent. Thank you, Matej. Having just reviewed the findings, was there anything in particular about the 2024 Digital Maturity Report that caught your attention or maybe even surprised you?
Right. So obviously, most of the topics are probably quite expected. However, I was really interested in the fact that the innovation growth has accelerated over the last couple of years significantly. It was mentioned by Halil that companies are probably not, well, it was quite low scoring. So obviously with low scoring topics, it's quite easy to get momentum or to get significant increases. However, this was interesting to see that innovation is playing a key role in the growth. And I was really pleased to see that companies are focusing on people. This was another area which saw major growth. And I like that, especially due to the fact that it highly resonates with Yazaki values. And of course, AI is a major topic currently in the last months and years. And it's quite understandable that companies are quite hesitant, especially in certain areas like manufacturing, for example, or less, let's say, technologically advanced areas. Especially, it's understandable because in many areas there's a rarity or scarcity of AI knowledge, but also there are concerns about accuracy, privacy, and data protection, which also we in Yazaki are experiencing.
Absolutely. And then Matej, if you don't mind, can you please maybe share a little bit with us an overview of how Yazaki has approached its own digital transformation program?
Right. I guess it's not a secret and known to the whole world that automotive market has been undergoing a significant volatility and challenges, not only now but also in the last couple of years. And despite that fact, Yazaki remained committed to the cultural and also digital transformation. That was one of the important factors for us. The other one was that we committed and increased or improved IT leadership across our regions. And we worked hard over the last 3 years to improve our IT governance, which primarily focuses on partnership or partnering with our business functions.
And from that experience, what would you say has the organization learned, or maybe what are some of the insights that you can share about Yazaki's transformation journey?
Right. I would probably focus on the insights because, as mentioned, our foundation for the digital transformation was primarily making sure that we have a strong IT leadership, also strong IT governance, partner with the business functions. However, probably some of the audience members might find this known, or they've been there. Obviously, in manufacturing or generally automotive organizations, IT is not really the leader in the companies, right? We're not tech companies. We're not digital, or we're not, let's say, technology giants. So everything is primarily focused on making sure that the operations and the production runs, right, and that we're delivering the pieces. However, thanks to the strong IT governance, our direction, or let's say our approach, was to first really partner with the business functions, help us to identify the areas of improvement, and then set up our goals or strategy on IT side in line with those, let's say, areas of improvement coming from the business.
Okay, excellent. And then looking backwards, in choosing to partner with Digitopia, what were some of Yazaki's goals prior to kicking off our engagement?
Right. Partnering with Digitopia, we looked at it really quite pragmatically, because although we were, I would say, quite confident in terms of the challenges identified and the points of improvement. However, we wanted to make sure that we benchmark ourselves inside Yazaki, among functions, among regions, obviously, but also we wanted to compare ourselves against other companies in our environment, in manufacturing world, in automotive. And obviously, one of the important points was to see that we're to have a measurable data that we're going the right direction, meaning looking at the past and the improvements, hopefully on all the metrics, improvements going into the future.
Excellent. Well, that certainly works well, because our singular goal at Digitopia is to help organizations just like Yazaki transform better. And we really do aim to accelerate transformation. And our platform really enables businesses to prioritize high impact initiatives, benchmark against industry peers, just like you mentioned, and really align stakeholders for smarter decision making. As someone who has participated in multiple engagements with us now, how would you summarize your experience in working with Digitopia?
I would say that because Digitopia and the topic which we're covering in this engagement are obviously, on the one hand, seem very technical, right? And sometimes it might be very difficult to approach the business functions with technical stuff, so to speak, right? So the partnership proved to be actually very seamless and very natural, not only for IT, but more importantly, also for the business functions, who at certain points even opened up and shared their pain points and their realistic evaluation of the issues they have.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matej. We certainly appreciate you generously sharing your time with us. Any parting thoughts before we address some of the questions from the audience?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for having me, obviously. Thank you very much for sharing the insights. And definitely what I appreciate is that, as you mentioned, the number of participating companies in your evaluation are every year increasing. Yeah, and this is becoming a really very valuable database of insights into the individual markets, individual fields. So this can be very, very useful tool for any business to go through that assessment and also to compare the business against the others. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Matej.
Thank you. Great conversation. We have great questions, comments, and questions. There's a question about if the level 5 is moving away faster than people can get to it. Yes and no. We designed the maturity levels actually in a way that they're trend technology independent. So you definitely level 5 requires a lot of autonomous processes, which is enabled through robotics, AI, and so forth, depending on what kind of topic, which dimension it is, and which kind of industry you are in. But it still is achievable. It requires focus and hard work and a lot of effort to progress. During the last 7 years, having worked with hundreds of companies, there were very few actually who had progress per annum of 0.2 or 0.3 maturity points. So if you could keep that pace of advancing on the maturity scale, which is rather a logarithmic scale, so you could move from level 2 to level 3 in about 5-6 years. Moving from 3 to level 4 probably then will take a bit longer, and that notion of becoming tired and inertia may kick in after a certain while. But with there's a few good companies, very few actually, who take change management very serious, cultural transformation and change management. And you need to find a way to balance the efforts, motivate the people, upskill the people, satisfy business expectations and top management expectations, deliver on strategy, deliver real value. And of course, market conditions need to be in favor as well. This happens for certain industries, like e-commerce, for example, is picking up and they're progressing quite fast. Good retailers who have basically omni-channel approach to physical stores and e-commerce, they gain a lot of data and they advance. So I can't elaborate on each question this long, but this was a very important one. Then there's the notion of AI maturity and breaking down this digital maturity data. We have a separate AI maturity index where we now started since a year to collect data and run engagements. The digital maturity index has a lot of data and analytics components to it. So we're combining the current existing data with the new AI maturity index data. We've done a few interesting partnerships, which we will announce very soon globally, with tech providers, AI providers, telecom operators, who are using our tools to raise the awareness on AI and capture attention. So that will create a lot of data. And I hope that next year, we're aiming to also publish an AI benchmark report. We'll see when we will get there. Are companies within the industries of a similar size? Very good question. Yes and no. We have different sizes of companies, not so much on the lower end, but medium to bigger scale companies are within the benchmark. We are trying to find, when we do the engagement and we select what we call a peer group, we select the right geography, the same industry breakdown, sub-industries as well, and similar size and similar business model companies. So we don't benchmark you against hundreds of companies, but we try to benchmark you against, I would say, 15 to 20 or 10 to 20 companies, the most relevant ones. These benchmarks are global, with basically customers on almost, I would say, on all the 6 continents. It's about 25 countries, 20 plus. It varies from year to year, but it grows. We're getting stronger in the Americas. We were very strong in Europe and the Middle East. We also have data from the Far East, from different countries over there. So what you see there, we can't split geographically at the moment, probably next year, but we definitely have the industry benchmarks and yes, they're global benchmarks. There is some, the next question is about the geographic breakdown of this analysis and leading and lagging countries or continents. It depends. It's more the difference comes more from the industry basically, rather than the geography. So banks are strong in all the geographies, but of course there's some more advanced in geographies a little bit, but banking in general is quite ahead of the game, and retail is a little bit behind the average, even on the lower end side of the spectrum. And but the more data we will have, the better we can answer these questions. Are the digital leaders the most profitable in each industry? This is the most important question. They are among the top performers in their industries. Business performance and digital maturity and digital transformation correlation, and even the next relation on top of that, which is causality, is very difficult. Sometimes some companies don't even have a profitability strategy or priority. They want to grow, they want to become efficient, they want to dominate the market, they're investing in expansion. It is very difficult to correlate and find the causality between digital transformation investments and business performance, whatever that business performance metric shall be. It can be profitability, it can be growth, it can be operational efficiency, it can be customer centricity, it can be employee satisfaction, and so forth. And then 0.2 per year progress, a transformation or more, is a slow adoption. Has anyone leaped by 1 point here? No, we've not come across something like that, not even on the lower end of the spectrum, quite some while. What I just said a few minutes ago, the highest we have seen was a 0.3 maturity points leap in a year, and that company was only able to do that twice. We are measuring that company since 7 years, and they were slower before they had a strategy. With establishing the strategy, we've continued to measure them every year, and they had 2 years of fast growth during the first COVID years, 21 and 22, and then slowed down to 0.2 points, and then even to 0.1 point. Was changes in management, and there's a lot of factors. So of course, investing in digital, you expect improvement on business performance, but it happens as the business conditions and the business environment allows it to happen. So it is not trivial, and is not the only relation or correlation between digital investments and business performance. Great questions. I enjoyed all of them. Thank you very much for your attention. Mate or Zach, is there anything you would like to add to these comments or questions?
No, fantastic questions. Thank you.
Still?
Thank you everyone for sharing, and we look forward to sharing the full report with all attendees, and that should be available soon.
Thank you.
All right. Then thank you, first of all, to Mate for his time and sharing his views and his opinion with us. Good luck with your digital transformation. Thank you for trusting in us. Zach, thank you for your moderation. Ekin and Kardelen, thank you for organizing this great webinar. And to all the attendees, thank you for your time. And I hope it was worthwhile spent. And we'll see hopefully very soon again. Take care. Have a good rest of the day.